Hello everyone, and welcome back to 2022 and Moments with MindLeaps. My name is Rebecca Davis, and I'm the founder and executive director of MindLeaps. And I'm thrilled to be back on our Friday sessions, where we have the chance to speak with all sorts of different people around the world. And I already see our first guest joining us, which is why I'm smiling, nice and big. Oh my goodness, here he is already. Today we are going to be joined by Kevin Zambrano, who is taking a little side tour. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Rebecca.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I was just starting to introduce you to our guests, that you're taking a little bit of a detour from Broadway to spend some time with MindLeaps. So we're especially lucky, as well as the kids that we're working it with. Kevin has a long career in Los Angeles and New York City. He's most recently been in West Side Story on Broadway, and is a dancer and a singer, and is spending some time giving back to the community these days. Kevin, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you as part of MindLeaps.
We are so thrilled to have you as part of the organization. And of course, you came recommended to us by one of our closest friends. We all love Mark Caserta, and everyone who touches Mark is so anxious to know everyone else in his circle. So grateful for you and grateful for Mark. Kevin, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the arts. Was it dance first? Was it something else? Was it a sister or a brother that persuaded you to go to class? How did it all get started?
I started I think I was about 7 years old, and I was in a musical theater camp, and my best friend was actually the one, and he was in the summer camp, and told my parents, that's what I want to do. So one summer, and ended up doing that for many, from like 7 about like 12 or 13. And yeah, mostly theater based. And then in middle school, I joined the choir. It was a show choir, which had dancing while singing at the same time. And I was always known as like the dancer. And then in high school, went into choir again, more dancing and singing at the same time. And then my junior year of high school, I joined the dance team. And that's when I really started to be like, maybe I should take a focus dance. And my dance coach, SD Carazosa, she really pushed me creatively and allowed me to choreograph a bunch of pieces on the dance team. And, she was the one that was like, you need to go to school for dance. So we looked into different colleges, and I was going in between, should I move? I really wanted to move to New York for Broadway and be in musical theater again. So I went, I applied to like Marymount Manhattan, NYU, and then I got into the California Institute of the Arts for dance. And I didn't want to stay in LA because I'm from LA. I wanted to get away, spread my wings. But when I visited the campus, it definitely felt like my safe haven, very artsy fartsy, like drawings everywhere, colors. So decided to go there, went to college for dance. That's really where I honed in on my technique and learned everything about dance history. And I had no idea like what a frappe was. And like I was at ground zero. But CalArts was the perfect place for me to flourish, and amazing faculty that pushed me, but also allowed me to play with all the colors. And yeah, that's really my story. And then from there, work.
Wow. I've heard like only little pieces of this, so I have so many questions for you, Kevin. So California Arts, CalArts, which for our international audience is like a fantastic school. Everybody loves it and knows it for the arts. Is it a focus on like modern and ballet, or is it balanced across all genres, or how do they kind of approach all of the different disciplines of dance?
It was balanced amongst all genres. I mean, we had 4 days of ballet and 4 days of contemporary dance.
Yeah.
And by my senior year, they started implementing hip hop as like a contemporary style. And then also we had a big emphasis on choreography.
Yeah.
So we would take 2 days of choreography. And that's also a reason why I chose that school, because I enjoy choreographing and directing. So there's an emphasis on that, as well as we did a lot of dance film work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a nice
Typical
place
California.
out everything with dance rather than just technique. Yeah, that's kind of what CalArts was.
And like, so you say that you wanted to leave Los Angeles, but you should know that everybody who lives in New York wants to go to LA.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, that's always the
Just keep
story,
jumping
is
back and forth.
spots. Yeah.
And so, what were your peers like at California Arts? Were they people who were international? Were they local? Were they looking to do film careers or Broadway as well?
It was really all over the place. A lot of international students,
Okay.
A lot of kids that came from art schools, so they had a stronger understanding of technique. Then there were some of us like me that, you know, this was a chance, like they were taking a chance on us, you know, they saw potential.
Okay.
But mostly, I mean, they definitely picked us based off like dance, not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, they're more creating film, like definitely on the technical side. And then from there, we kind of decide what paths we want to take. And then in regards to like other métiers or like other schools there, like art and animation and music, that's where the collaboration came in. And that's the exciting part. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump back to CalArts in a moment, but I just want to say that, you know, in getting to know you, Kevin, I've been so impressed with all of the fusion that you do with film and dance.
Thank
so
you.
I understand that, like, yeah, okay, a little bit of that we can attribute to CalArts.
Oh, for sure.
So you're like this crazy house dancer, which, you know, you've already heard me say once that I've always wanted to become a hip hop dancer, and it's like never going to happen, but I'm still holding on to the dream. So I want to know, like, how did you end up like developing house and hip hop in your repertoire, especially because it wasn't like a primary focus at CalArts?
First of all, I thank you for calling me a house dancer. I am a dancer. I will get there. I really enjoy house. But I have yet to go to a cypher. Once I go to a cypher and like really get into this, you know, the environment, then I will call myself a house dancer. But thank you. But
well, you don't have much competition from me, so.
I really got into house at CalArts. I mean, I did some hip hop in high school in the dance team, but I mean, I wasn't like the best hip hop dancer. But anyways, so I learned house from Nina Flagg at school, and she really like honed house in. And also there was like house and then also like club culture I really fell in love with, and we learned a lot about that at school and like just the history of club. And I'm still like in this land right now of like I really am learning. I want to learn more about club life and the history. So that's kind of where house started, was at CalArts. And then now I'm trying to take more classes here in New York. And like I said, try to get to a cypher where I can have an understanding of the footwork, because it's a beautiful art form and also is tied a lot to queer culture. And I think it's a cool fusion of many dance styles.
So, Kevin, we have like, so in MindLeaps we have, as you know, an international crowd who's watching you and going to stalk you online forever now. And there's a lot of hip hop dancers in Guinea and in Uganda, especially across all of our countries, but especially Guinea and Uganda, and in our group of teachers. Now, like when we go overseas, we have the language barriers and terms are a little bit different. So, you know, we hear b-boy, we hear breaking, we hear kind of hip hop in general. Give for us like maybe I'll say like the US definition of house dance, or like, how would you describe it when like all of us are just saying hip hop, but it's not just hip hop?
Okay. Wow. I hope I get this right. Nina Flag kill me if I don't. This house comes from the term warehouse, so warehouse parties, and that was what, like the late 70s, early 80s, and it came out of disco. So those beats out of disco, and then it was a lot of people that brought in cultures from like Latina culture and also like hip hop culture, and it was that blend of like salsa cha-cha with like hip hop beats with disco with like ballroom, so, and like the jitter, like there's all these influences coming in, and it was really about, you know, going to the warehouse and dancing. So that is what house is, and it's like very specific in regards to like the footwork, like the overarching hip hop, which is also what Nina Flag taught me, has 5 or 4 different pillars, which is like the graffiti, the dance, and the music.
Oh, wow.
It might be one. So it's like the overarching theme, and then you have these like threads.
Okay.
That is like my history lesson that I can provide.
Well, it's like 1,000 times more than I've ever known. And you should know, Kevin, that our friends Abdul, who's one of our hip hop dancers, is specifically one of our b-boy dancers in Uganda, is applauding your definitions. So,
okay, good. Yeah.
According to Uganda, right?
There's so many different threads you can follow within hip culture. Yeah.
Well, now I'm like even more excited to try to like learn how to do this in my third life. Okay, cool. So Kevin, so you graduated CalArts. Now jump to us. How did you get from California to be on Broadway?
So I graduated in 2018, and then I was freelancing for a couple months doing like backup dancing and weird contemporary dance and all. And then it just happened to be that West Side Story was coming to Los Angeles to audition people for the Broadway show because they couldn't find enough, you know, contemporary dancers.
Wow.
And it was one of those days where I was just exhausted and, you know, like, okay, I guess I'll go to another audition. But it just felt, I mean, it fit so nicely in the fact that, like, I came from musical theater, I studied contemporary dance in college, and then I'm also Latino, so it was like a perfect blend. And that's how that kind of happened, and then it, like, threw me to New York. And then I did that for 6 months, and then COVID happened, which sucked. But kind of now has led me to a different direction over the year of like directing and producing. And now that things are somewhat, you know, moving in a better direction, I'm hoping that the directing and producing, you know, run parallel now with performing rather than doing this or this.
Yeah. I want to ask you more about that, but what was the audition process like for West Side Story? Was it like a dance cut and then a singing cut, or like kind of like, run us through the
It was, I think it was about like 5 days. First day was dance in LA, and then there was like more dance, and then I think second day was singing. And then I think that, and then we waited for callbacks in New York, and then came to New York, and then I think that was like 2 or 3 days dancing with us. Yeah. I mean,
so how many did you start as in LA? Do you even know? How many did you start as?
In LA, I want to say there was like 50 of us in LA. And then when I got to New York, there was probably like 200 because I think they like went decided who to come to New York.
Oh, crazy. Gosh.
But they had already cast majority of the cast. They were doing like another round of auditions for a few more auditions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I was like just along for the ride. That was like my first big audition, and I had no idea what was going on. And I was like, I'm happy I'm making it this far. Like, this is cool. But yeah.
And so then tell us, what was it like when you heard that you got the part, that you were going to be on Broadway? Is it like surreal, or is it like, I knew all along?
No, it was real. It was like, you know, like the little Kevin that it's like 8 years old and wants to be on Broadway. Like, he's like, good, you did it. Like, you know, we did it.
Awesome.
So it was weird. I didn't like understand what was happening until like post COVID that like I was on Broadway.
That makes sense. Yeah. Then you digest the whole process after. Yeah. Well, we could like talk for like several hours about this, but we'll move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Kevin, you've talked a little bit about how you've developed this whole other artistic side of your expression during COVID. Tell us like a little bit about like what are your aspirations with mixing dance and film? And I know I'm boxing it a little bit. It's more extensive than that. Share with us a little bit about that artistic vision that you have.
So I did two things that I think are going to keep with me. Is like I started a program for dancers during COVID, and that like brought me wanting to give back, like opportunities and being able to like, provide people. So that is something I'm going to continue doing, and we're in our second year, and it's like I'm running a program with a good friend, and so that's cool. And then I directed a show in LA, like just like I haven't seen theater in a while. Things are about to open up, so let's do an outdoor show. And then I directed a film, and that's like going through some festivals.
Congratulations! Wow.
And like with all of these like things that people are enjoying, I'm just see that people are excited by my art.
Yeah.
And I think along the line, I'd like an overarching the red curtain, and I'd like to have that be this, like, I don't know, like iconic tag or something that's attached to me that like can provide some theory, dance, and theater. But I hope to like, you know, a major film made or like, and just like really start changing the world of theater, because I think it's about time that some story told.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, like you just like the more you talk, I mean, you're such a example of like what I'm going cliche call like the next generation of artists who, you know, you become like skilled and proficient in your craft, but you just have like a bigger vision of like what the arts can be and how it can communicate. Yeah, I applaud you for it. That's like what the world needs, especially if dance is going to survive.
Yeah. Like allow certain stories to be told.
Yeah.
And that's like, I think that's like my goal as an artist, is to, again, open doors for certain people that might not have access to a proscenium theater, that their stories normally there. So I just want to make sure that I'm a conduit and just like feeding that out.
Well, I think you heard Caitlin mention it when we were together recently, but the MindLeaps kids in Rwanda, who Mark knows well, and you've heard all about from us. These kids in Rwanda, most recently, they were trying to do dance on video for the first time through this competition that's about the Sustainable Development Goals in the UN for something that's happening in Rwanda. And so like all of our MindLeaps kids are like for the first time being like, you know, oh, we need to learn how to do like dance on film. So you have like a bunch of little students waiting for you when you want to go to Africa. Okay, so we've had the chance to get to know each other, and are starting our relationship together alongside our fellow trainers, Caitlin Casson and Sadia Ramos, and our lead, Jesse Hawks, who's keeping us organized. And we're starting this program together at Children of Promise. This is like seriously like the first week this has ever happened. Share with our guests a little bit about this whole crazy experience for all of us.
Well, firstly, I mean, it's just been an honor working with those kids. It's been a while since I've truly like felt I'm giving back. It's like it like grounds you into
Yeah.
not thinking so much about like am I good enough? Am I and it's like there's a lot more. There's a lot more to life. That's my friend Jacob that lives in Africa I was telling you about.
Jacob, you have to visit MindLeaps in Rwanda. Okay, we'll revisit that later.
So it's been nuts, I have to say. It's been nuts. Those kids just like have excess amount of energy, of dance beyond their control. They love moving beyond their control. It just like their talent is like too much for them to handle. And like I think that's what's happening. But I'm really excited to see where these kids go.
Yeah.
Because again, they have so much potential.
Yeah.
They love too much.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
they I don't even like they just want to move. They their body.
Like it's inside and it's like all of a sudden they've been told like you're free to move and it's unlimited.
Yeah. But they're amazing. They're awesome kids.
So one of the things that we do at MindLeaps, which is, you know, unusual, especially for professional dancers, is that like after you teach a class, then we sit down and we ask you to assign essentially grades with all of these social emotional learning skills like self-esteem and creativity and teamwork. What is that process like for you? Does it feel abstract? Does it feel organic?
I think I enjoy it because again, I haven't taught a class like a rubric before. And I'm interested to see the data. And understand like how influence affects them. And I think it's nice that we're really honing in on each student. It's not about the group as a whole, but it's like each individual student. I enjoy conversations about each student and like what they need, particularly to their needs.
Oh, I totally agree with you. You know, it's interesting, like when you go through those exercises, you really start to see the individuals as the individuals, right? You can say like, oh, like these are all talented kids, or oh, these kids are all like, you know, struggling with discipline. But actually when you go through like one by one, every kid is so special and so different and so unique. Well, hopefully, like in 3 months, we're going to be celebrating the development of these children. If not, we might still just be playing tag and doing bajo. To be determined. We'll leave that as an open question for now. Okay, so Kevin, tell us a little bit. We've talked about some of these aspirations that you have to merge Broadway and your professional career with film and this community work. Tell us a little bit for the next generation of artists and youth and these people who are like starting to figure out like, how do I build a career in the arts? Like, how do I make my voice heard? They're looking at COVID, they're looking at university applications, you know, they're seeing people like you who are fusing everything together. What are some of like the words of advice or words of caution, I don't know, that you might give this next generation who's thinking about building careers in the arts?
I think don't be afraid to fail. Like keep failing over and over again. That's okay. Then you'll look back and be like, oh, I wasn't failing. And you'll learn a lot from those challenges and those mistakes. Because just getting oh that was like isn't gonna necessarily help you. Like having a great, and I think just like working on, for me, this is what I've been working on, is just like really voice and like what you say and what you want to do. And like that will always change. Like it's not be the same. And it shouldn't be the same throughout your whole life, I don't think. Like we're always learning, but always kind of like be clear with your artistic voice. People enjoy seeing something that feels like stable and substantial. They can trust that, oh, this person put a lot of thought and effort and vision into it. So I think those are the two things that I could pass on.
Those are great. It totally like it makes me think of Mark. I mean, one thing that Mark and our also good friend Lamar, who you've heard us talk about. I mean, Mark and Lamar are always like, you know, it has to be genuine. You can do whatever you want, but it has to be genuine. And like, yeah, I hear that theme coming out in everything you say and all of the chances I've had to interact with you so far. I'm just constantly amazed. I'm very fortunate to get to run MindLeaps, and I'm like constantly amazed how some of the most accomplished dancers I've met, these Broadway stars, are just grounded people who are so committed to the art form and so committed to the kids and the communities. So it's a huge pleasure, Kevin, to have the chance to work alongside you and to welcome you into the MindLeaps family. And please hear from us a huge congratulations on everything you've already accomplished.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I mean, I'm glad that I even have gotten this opportunity. It was so a quick like turn that I'm here with you. So I'm just enjoying myself.
You were just meant to play tag with us.
I know.
Okay, Kevin, I look forward to seeing you next week with our kids, and we look forward to sharing with all of our viewers, hopefully the success of this program. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for being a part of the artistic development of these voices.
Of course. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks, Kevin.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.